All right. Welcome to my third time doing this thing, and thank you so much, all of you who have watched so far, and who have yet to. Thank you as well. I've decided to talk about something randomly that I think is fun and spit it out this video from my free editing software. So, that being said, cue intro. All right. That being said, and me having fixed my audio, I think well enough. Let's jump into it, shall we? First and foremost, I'm going to share with you a little tidbit that will make all of this so much easier. I'm going to share with you the actual thing behind how mechs operate, how they move, how they function, and how they just overall be the big giant stompy boys that they are. And that is from their use of something called myomer. So, because they are awesome and I love them so much, and they are such incredible people, just I mean seriously. They're everybody there is awesome. We're going to turn to sarna.net. So, on sarna.net, here's what it has to say about the literal muscle behind the mech. Myomer is an artificial analog of biological muscles with a greater strength to weight ratio. They are engaged with electrical current, and its strength depends on the amount of fibers activated, not the current provided. Meaning that you could have so much myomer and only need a little amount of electrical charge, essentially electrical current, to activate it. But it only depends on how much myomer you have, not so much the amount of electrical current applied, which means that basically if mechs were scaled to the size of human beings, it wouldn't be too much of a difference. There honestly wouldn't be too much of a difference between us, except they'd be a lot stronger, like 10 times stronger still, even at our size. Myomer requires large amounts of electrical voltage to function, with the larger muscles obviously requiring more energy than smaller ones. So yeah, that should okay. Obviously, bigger muscle means bigger energy, but it also means that essentially when you have something that's arm is the size of a bus smacking anything around, it's gonna hurt a lot. That being said, however, they have high electrical resistance, causing large amounts of waste heat which needs to be dispersed. Thus, I mentioned before, like heat sinks and stuff like that. Or the fibers will fry themselves. This does, however, grant an advantage as my armor cannot be stunned by electrical discharges. Additionally, metal armor and skeletons have a low electrical resistance, channeling and discharging any strong electrical hits into the ground. So basically, you can't just strike a mech with lightning and expect it to just shut off. It doesn't work like that. In a way, Myanmar is the reason battle mechs are the supreme war machines they are. The Myanmar is an extremely efficient and low-bearing form of locomotion, but cannot be used in a wheeled, tracked, or airborne platform due to the nature of its operation. Just like there's a giant gap of difference between a human being running and a car or truck moving. We function quite differently, we're built quite differently, we're different things entirely. One cannot work the same way as the other. As such, even though battle mechs present much greater surface area that must be armored and much more structure to be carried, Myanmar still allows them to bear more weapons and armor per ton than any other form of armored fighting vehicle. Alright. Production and composition. Myanmar is composed of microscopic polyacetylene tubes filled with the anti-strandular fiber. These fibers are created by mixing biologically engineered bacteria with specific polymers within the tubes. An electrical current is sent through these tubes, causing the fibers to rearrange themselves into a complex nanostructure similar to the proteins myosin and actin that allow biological muscles their movement. Myanmar fibers were first developed in 2350 by Terran hegemony researcher Professor Gregory Atlas during the research project called Operation Musclebound. Alright, so now y'all know a little bit about Myanmar. Now let's talk about Mech Melee, because so many people seem to have a hard time wrapping their heads around how it would have any practicality. Well, first off, fictional universe. So we just have fun here. You no fun having you can leave. You can just go away, okay? For those of us who greatly enjoy all of this, okay, for those of us who we like battletech, right? We enjoy our big stompy metal boys, right? We'll say this much. Imagine if you had upscaled the human body to the size of a mech. About 40 foot high or more, right? And you decided to have very similar structure to a human being, except one thing. Your skin is so much tougher. Your skeleton is so much tougher. And like I said earlier, something that can swing around an arm the size of a bus or a semi with a trailer. Yeah, that's going to hurt a lot. So now imagine these monstrosities. These big giant metal stompy boys. These monsters of metal machinery smacking each other around. Yeah. Pretty terrifying concept, right? Now, as far as practicality goes, I have this to say. And this is all personally my stuff, right? Personally, when it comes to melee, if I have 0 ammo left and I am surrounded by enemies and I have nowhere else to go and I have no choice but to do so, I will throw hands at tonnage. which is what happens in Mech Warrior Battletech quite often, actually. Or you'll just get mechs that ambush each other. Go and watch Tex Talks Battletech from the Black Pants Legion, his video about the Charger, and that will basically sum up all of it. And actually, well, Grandpa Tex is so much better at this than I am. Quite honestly, I don't even know how anybody watches what I do. Anyway. So yeah, imagine something being able to swing around an arm that's several tons, that is engineered for destruction in a few different ways, right? Now, look up a bus going into a building. Or look up, a vehicle going over the edge and falling on a house or something. I don't know. Look up something like that. Now, the arms of a mech is that big, giant, thousands of pounds vehicle. And that's the amount of damage it could do to an unarmored building. And people say it has no practicality. Yeah, if I come around a building and I just sucker punch something, it's gonna hurt, right? As below, so above in this case. Because just like going around the corner and sucker punching some poor wankster kid back in the day, a mech coming around a corner of a building and smacking another mech in the face is gonna hurt a hell of a lot. That being said, also, there's the argument of, well, shouldn't you just finish the fight before the mechs get close enough to throw hands? And I say, well, if you can, you should try and will do. But if you can't, then you definitely want to be able to engage in some good old fisticuffs in the tons weight class. Just saying. So that being said, let me know what you think in the comments down below. That being said, that is all I gotta say, basically. If you think it's impractical, well, first off, fictional universe, and I'm a bigger fan of it than you are, so yeah. On top of that, big giant metal stompy boys throwing hands. What is not to love about that? Seriously. I mean, honestly. Come on. I mean, look at the picture. An 80-ton awesome up against a 100-ton Atlas, and they're about to fisticuffs it. Even though they have guns, what's more fun than that? It's kind of like people who watch UFC, myself included. We're there to see two guys beat the shit out of each other in a ring and do it as bloody and meanly and harshly as possible. As below, so above. So, that being said, mech melee, is it practical? I say absolutely yes. Big giant stompy boys smacking each other around in the tonnage weight class. Love it. But what do you think? You let me know in the comments down below. That being said, I just wanted to throw this one together because I thought it was fun and interesting to talk about. But let me know what your comments are, honestly. There's a lot of people who are in BattleTech who I even know who had no idea that Myanmar existed. And they didn't know how the mechs functioned. They thought it was just gears and cogs and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what? Have you been with BattleTech this long and you had no idea what Myanmar was or didn't pay attention to it? Like, it just blows my mind. Anyway, that being said, that's all for this one. Thank you all so much. And I will see y'all in the next one. This is Badger Actual. I'll see you later.